Hi, fourth graders. This is Module 5, Lesson 23. Our goal for the lesson is to multiply a fraction unit by a whole number. So go ahead and get your paper, pencil, or whiteboard, whatever you're using to follow along and take notes, and we'll get started. All right, so let's start off with 2 times 1/3. Okay, so here's my equation. If you notice, I have a fractional unit, that's my 1/3, and I have a whole number, that's my 2. So I need to multiply. So what it's asking me to do here is basically do 2 times 1/3. So I'm taking my whole number, multiplying it by my numerator, and my denominator is staying the same. So 2 times 1/3. So 2 times 1 is 2, and my denominator is going to stay the same, 2/3. So that is multiplying a fractional unit by a whole number. It's as simple as that. I'm going to show you one other way. So here's the first example. I'm going to show you a second example using the same numbers. Okay, 2 times 1/3. We can also think about this equation as in terms of repeated addition. So what does that mean? We can use addition to help us solve multiplication because we know multiplication is just a faster way of adding. So what this really means is 2 groups of 1/3. So I'm going to write my groups of 1/3 down here. 1/3 plus 1/3. That's one group and 2 groups. So now I can just add this together, and my denominators are the same, so I can add straight across with my numerators. 1 plus 1 is 2, and my denominator of 3 stays the same. So 2 times 1/3 is equal to 2/3. And let's check, did we get the same answer as up here? We did. So we can think about it as repeated addition, groups of, or we can just multiply our whole number by our numerator and keep our denominators the same. All right, fourth graders, let's try another example. Let's do 6 times 1/2, okay? I'm going to show you both ways. We're going to do multiplication and then repeated addition. So multiplication strategy number 1, we need to just do our whole number times our numerator. So 6 times 1/2. Our denominator stays the same. So what is 6 times 1? That's 6/2. And you can leave your answer as 6/2, or you can convert it into a mixed number. And remember, a mixed number is how many times or how many wholes are within our 6/2. So 2 can go into 6 3 times evenly. Okay, so 3 and 6/2 is the same. But if you're not quite here at converting it back to mixed numbers, you can stay at this stage. All right, let's do the second strategy of repeated addition. 6 times 1/2. So this means 6 groups of 1/2. So I'm going to write 1/2 6 times, and I'm going to add it each time. So 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Ooh. See what happens when I am counting out loud? Sometimes my brain or my hand moves faster than my brain. All right, so now I have to add all these up. I have 6 groups of 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 halves. Look, I'm already noticing that this is the same. And because I already solved 6/2 up there, turned it into a whole number, I know that that is also equal to 3. So we solved it 2 ways. One with just simple multiplication, and the second way was with repeated addition. So when you are solving your problems, do not do both ways. I'm showing you 2 different strategies. You choose what makes most sense to you. All right, next example, 10 times 1/4. So I'm doing just multiplication for the first example. I'm going to take my whole number, multiply it by my numerator. So 10 times 1, and it's really important that you show this step, fourth graders, if you choose this strategy, because this is going to help us out in a couple of lessons later. Perhaps next week or the week after, we're going to be doing some work this way, and if you already know how to write it, breaking it down this way, it will help you. All right, 10 times 1 is 10, and my numerator stays the same. So again, this is an improper fraction. You can leave it that way, or if you're able to, and I kind of want to stretch your thinking if you're there, convert this into a mixed number. So how many wholes do I have? My units are fours, so 4/4 would be 1 whole. So how many can live inside of this number? Well, that would be 2 and 2/4 left. Okay, and then we'll do the repeated addition way. Strategy number 2, that looks like a 4, but that's a 2. 10 groups of 1/4. So I need to write 1/4 10 times and add it up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can start to see why strategy number 1 here is preferred, because this is kind of a lot and it's easier to get mixed up. All right, so now I'm going to add my numerators. I'm going to show this with a different color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And my denominator stays the same, 10/4. That matches up here. So I know that this is 2 and 2/4. Remember again, improper fractions are okay if we're not quite there at converting to mixed numbers. All right, guys, last example, 14 times 1/3. And I'm going to show you only multiplication for this strategy. So I'm going to take my whole number, multiply it by my numerator, 14 times 1. My denominator stays the same, over 3. So 14 times 1 is 14 thirds. So again, this is an improper fraction. We can change it to a mixed number. How many times can 3 go into 14? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 without going over. So it can go 3, 6, 9, 12. 4 times, and how many left over? If I was at 12 to get to 14, that'd be 2, and then I keep my denominator the same. So 4 and 2/3 or 14 thirds, they are equivalent, so either answer is correct. All right, guys, that wraps up Module 5, Lesson 23. I can multiply a fraction unit by a whole number. You're going to choose one strategy to use, either multiplication or the repeated addition. Let me know if you have any questions or need help. Otherwise, I will see you next time.